Hey, welcome back. It's me, Nick, and also Lance. How you doing? So you got a Planet of the Apes over there? How's that going? Look, we don't want no trouble. We just crashed here, okay? Look, I'm sorry. Look, we just want to get back to our own planet. Oh, this is Earth? Oh, man. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, well, say hi to Dr. Zayas for me.
Spoilers. You want to know what's funny is all night I've been waiting for you to do it, and then as soon as we went to go roll, I forgot you were going to do it, and then you started doing it, and I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Oh, jeez. All right.
I guess spoilers for a movie from '68.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. If you click on Planet of the Apes, you're not like, "What's Planet of the Apes?" You mean like humans? We're apes.
I mean, yeah.
We are. So this month we're going to do the 1968 Planet of the Apes and the 2001 reimagining of Planet of the Apes by Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm. We can even throw in the Troy McClure version if you want.
Oh yeah, we watched that little clip. It was "Stop This Planet of the Apes, I Want to Get Off."
Much better than the other two.
It does have Dr. Zayas. And that's the first way I heard "Rock Me Amadeus" was Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. I'm like, okay.
That's the first time you heard.
That's the first time I heard that song.
Wow. Okay. That's "Rock Me On a Days" is a fucking awesome song.
That's not as good as Dr. Zayas.
Can't say it was my first exposure to it, but I can totally see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. That's also, I was Simpsons in the 90s. I was 10-ish, or like a young teen. That's how I would have seen it more than whatever. What was it? A 70s song, 80s song?
80s. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was 80s. Yes. I'm gonna lock my answer in and say 80s.
All right. Well, I like the newer version. Rock Me, Dr. Zayas.
Anyways,
so yes, we'll be doing the older Planet of the Apes and then the newer one. If you're wondering, like, hey, why aren't they doing Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Apparently, it's a prequel.
That'd be a prequel, yes, and I guess a soft reboot in a way, because I think some of the stuff introduces in Rise of the Planet of the Apes is not necessarily true of what happens in this, which is actually, I bought all these dang movies. Like, it's got all the original 5, and I watched the first one, I'm like, this is all right, and then I watched the second one, and I'm like, I'm done watching Planet of the Apes movies. But I've since gone back to at least watch the next one, and I'll get to we're not talking about those. It's just more of a, I watched the second Planet of the Apes movie, and I'm like, could have stopped at 1.
10 years ago, I sat down and watched all of them all the way through, and it was like the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, I was like, okay, not horrible. The fourth one, they're like the opposite of Star Trek movies.
Okay, so I guess Conquest and then Battle are the last two.
I can't remember, honestly, like rewatching Planet of the Apes, the 68 version, like I did not remember like the first half of that movie. And I've seen this movie at least 3 or 4 times.
I think this probably would have been like my second full time, because I think I'd seen it bits and pieces of it on TV. And it's another one of those movies where I put off watching for a long time because if you grew up, you know the twist at the end to the point where it's like, eh.
True. This I guess was the original Snape killed Dumbledore.
Yeah, kind of. Just to the point where you're like, well, do I even need to watch this movie? And well, I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start with scores.
Yes, and then after that we're going into spoilers. So
for both of them.
Once we give the scores for both movies, if you're still watching and you haven't watched these, it's your fault.
Yeah, they're apparently on Stars, although we did it the old-fashioned way. Because who streams the Stars account? But maybe you have one.
Oh, I wouldn't have gotten that crazy opening with the Lawgiver too. And
I know. This is when people put effort into physical media, as opposed to like nowadays when I get a physical media, it's just kind of like with the Windows startup screen or whatever, like the Windows Movie Maker screen. It was like, nah, we just threw together a DVD screen. It was like, you could have tried.
Yeah, that no one gives a shit anymore.
No, no one's buying DVDs or Blu-rays, but I like to have them because sometimes the internet goes out or a service just might go, yeah, you don't get to watch that movie anymore.
Yep.
And I'd kind of like to have it so that you can't just decide I don't get to watch a movie anymore.
Yeah, that's one of our Does It Bite movies. I wanted to watch Only Lovers Left Alive. It was on HBO.
Yeah, no, it's just gone.
And then it just fucking disappeared into the ether.
And then it'll probably come back. And
Yeah, so we'll get to do that one in probably like 3 years.
They like fluctuate them to kind of like they don't want you to like subscribe for just a year and get all of their content. So or for a month they get all of their content. So they like put something out for a little bit and then they take it away, so that you have to subscribe another like this month later when they bring it back.
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's my assumption anyway. Why else would you do it? So Lance, what would you give the 1968 Planet of the Apes?
I would give this movie a 7.
All right.
You're fucking good at this game. And I remember at the beginning of it, you were like, why are we doing it this way? And I was like, yeah, it'll be fun. And I could try and like guess your fucking scores. And you just nail me constantly.
Always
crazy.
nail it, Lance.
It's crazy. All right, how about you, Nick? What would you give the 68 version of Planet?
I think I'd also give it a 7.
Hot damn.
Now look at that.
Sun shines on a dog's ass occasionally. I got that one. Nice.
And I guess sun shines on a cat's anus constantly.
I mean, they have no... I got brown-eyed unicorn at least 4 times tonight. That's cat hair all over me. But
all right, Lance, what would you give the 2001 remake of Planet of the Apes?
I would give it... So I've been waffling back and forth with this. I've changed my mind like 4 times. I would give it I'll say a 5.
Okay. Were you waffling between a 5 and a 6? Or
I was waffling between a 5 and a 6.
I erred for the side of he might enjoy it a little bit more.
I was on a 6, and then I started thinking about it, and then I went to a 5. But honestly, the first time I'd seen the movie, that movie was like a straight up 3.
Yeah, I remember not enjoying it all that much the first time. But I think I liked it better than I thought it was going to. I still didn't like it that much.
I might be in trouble.
No, I think you'll be okay, because I'm also going to give it a 5.
Okay, good. Bam!
Because it's okay. It's not as bad, but it also kind of misses a lot in kind of, I guess, spoilery sort of ways. I think what really hurts the Tim Burton one for me is that the humans could talk, and they're keeping them as like cows, pets or whatever. And I'm like, that's kind of gets over the whole metaphor of like man like has fallen to the point that they're gone, and apes have like risen to the point of man. It's just kind of like apes just kind of like overthrew humans and just kind of like, now you're our pets now. And I'm like, that doesn't really work quite as well. And like when the humans start talking, all humans can talk. Why is it makes the human not special?
Right.
And what is the most not special thing in the Planet of the Apes is Mark Wahlberg's character. I don't even know who the hell he was. I'm sure he said his name at some point in time, but like Taylor from like the original one, I'm like, oh, he's a fucking character.
Right.
And he stands out, and shit's going on, and like this whole wild wacky planet is interesting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And but then the time Mark Wahlberg crashes, and he's like, oh, so she gets kidnapped pretty quickly. You get to take your hands off me, you damn dirty human.
It's a behind enemy lines movie.
Yeah, and it just doesn't hit quite the same. But the makeup in the original for like 6 to 8 is pretty fucking good. Mm-hmm. But it also runs into the issues of it sounds like every ape person is kind of talking behind we'll say a 10-gallon hat.
Sure. That's a callback for a different video. If you've been watching our videos, that was a good callback.
So it's kind of like, what the fuck are they saying? Whereas then the newer one has him talking through dentures. So you've kind of got a different slurred mouth problem, but still, like, at that point in time, the articulation of the face is there.
Yeah, not only did it sound like they were talking through 10-gallon hats in the original one, there was also points where, like, mainly they were kind of talking with their head kind of down like this in most scenes.
Yeah, so you can't look up and see their mouth.
Yeah, so you can't see the teeth behind the teeth.
Yeah.
And you could totally see their mouth inside of, like, the ape mouth. Mm-hmm. And, like, there was... I didn't catch it a lot, but, like, when she was, like, protesting in the courtroom scene, and she, like, was like, you can't do that, I was like, I can totally see her mouth back there. Like, it was just... I could see lips behind lips. And I think what makes the original movie is I think it was more of a commentary of like racism back in the day. At least that's the way I viewed it. It was kind of like this type of person, because like, let's face it, the apes were basically like humans. Mm-hmm. They were straight up like humans.
Yeah, and they were kind of segmented into their 3 societies, like orangutans and gorillas and and chimpanzees.
Yeah. And then it was like, so there was already like a culture class there. And then you had the humans. It didn't matter if they talked. It was all a trick. It was all a hoax. Yeah. But I told Amber, I was like, it'd be like if a dog walked in this house right now and was like, I like kibbles and bits. I'd be like, it's a trick. And then eventually it's like, you have to admit, this fucking dog can talk.
Yeah, and after all the things you've been doing to... Well, dogs, like, we treat dogs well. It'd be more of like a chicken walks in and go like, hey, don't eat me. It's like, oh shit, I love chicken nuggets.
You shouldn't be so fucking delicious then. You know?
It's like, quit, we're not food, we're people.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything, I guess with certain preparation, I think there are certain areas of the world where they still eat dogs.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all meat. But yeah, I think the first one was like a commentary of like, we get into our social structures where we think that we're better than other people, and it doesn't really matter what they can do, what they can say, or how they act.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, you can kind of see the strict people, how they regulate their kind of old ways, and a new idea comes up and they're just like, we're not we're not taking that new idea.
It threatens everything we hold dear.
Yeah, and it's like, well, we've gone to the forbidden zone. We've dug down at the top, like there's apes, but as we go deeper, there's some other civilization down here, and they're like, yeah, we knew that already, and we don't screw that. Like we don't adhere to it. Man's awful. Like screw man, they're bad. Like check out Taylor. He doesn't let us kill him. He's awful, and he gets mad when we lobotomize his friend. Like he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but I mean that was actually like I thought that was a fantastic scene. Mm-hmm. Like the first movie, the 68 version, resonated so much more with me because it was kind of like in the scrolls. Mm-hmm. They basically, the lawgiver says, do not let these people have any kind of power because they will fucking destroy everything. Yeah. So it's like they figured out what was going on with the world, where their place was in it and where our place was in it. And they were like, we're going to hold them down. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, man, as we've seen through history, man is capable of beauty and like such beauty, such great storytelling. We're passionate. We're funny. Everything about fucking humanity is great. And then you have everything else. Yeah. You know, you have to dominate territory. You have to fucking, you know.
The wars, the hatred.
Yeah, it's just, it's fucking stupid. And like, I don't know. Like, that message hit pretty hard because you can even see when Taylor was reading that, he was just kind of like, yeah, we're pretty fucking awful. And then he's like, no, you know, I'm taking the girl, I'm leaving. And then he sees what he sees at the end of the movie and he's like, yeah, we're fucking terrible. Yeah. You know, I really liked that. For a movie that does not seem that deep.
No, not really. Not at first, because it just kind of... So I like, in the Tim Burton one, I like the ship they had set up more, where it was just kind of like, we're here doing research. And I'm like, that's a bit more interesting than we're 4 people, and we're just going to see what the future's like.
Well, I think they were colonizers.
Well, yeah, the 4 of them were going to go to the future, to some distant planet with 3 men and 1 woman. Yeah. So might need to rethink that one there, buddies.
Amber said there's so much inbreeding going on there. Yeah. I was like,
yeah, you need to bring a little bit more than 4 if that's your general idea. So I think the idea is more of like, I don't know, the colonizers so much as explorers, but still have like a backup so you're not like gone.
I mean, it would have had to have been some kind of colony since they knew they were 2,000 years from what they knew.
I don't know if they knew they were going to go 2,000 years, but I knew that they know that going near the speed of light, they were going to be in the future, and by the time they wake up, everyone that they knew was going to be dead. Which, for me, like early on in the thing where the other guy was there, I can't remember his name, he's kind of like broken up about, like, oh my god, I can't believe everyone I knew was dead. It's like, bitch, you signed up for this shit. Yeah. Like, you knew this going in.
And Charlton Heston, like, picks his ass apart.
Yeah, it's like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah,
everyone you know is dead. Like everything we knew is gone. It's something else now. And
let me guess, you accepted the mission because they put up a fancy bronze statue of you in their hometown. Well, that's gone. It's dust. You know, like that. He picked that dude apart. The guy's like, "So you're so fucking good at reading me. How about you?" And he's like, "Nope, I hate shit."
Yeah, I had nothing and no strong ties to the way humanity was. Fuck that place. Yeah, I'm here now.
I mean, it's honestly, I did not remember this movie being as good as it was. And like in watching it and with some of the stuff, like some of the, I guess, social commentary of the movie.
Yeah, even I think what it says just about like hunting or whatever too, because you watch them running around hunting humans and at the end you got them jackass apes posing with like dead humans, like with those old school like silver nitrate cameras. Where it's like, no, look, we bagged some humans. I'm like, ah, fucking asshole, and it's kind of like, ooh, big itch.
Do you not agree with us?
Where it's kind of like calls back to like the big safari hunters taking like their dipshit pictures with like, look, I killed 12 rhinoceroses.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, way to go, buddy.
They're in the same fucking loop we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was actually rather stunned with that, and I also loved when Charlton Heston pointed out. So you're like the religious leader of the planet, but you're also the science leader of the planet. You know, it's a very, very convenient.
Yeah. It's like there's no clash between science and religion. Yep, sure, buddy.
Yeah. It's. I did not remember the movie being as deep as that, and like in watching it, I was just kind of like, holy shit! There's like an actual like full storyline going on here. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just guy wakes up in Monkey Planet, and oh no, and you know.
But also like watching it like this time, you can be like, dude, there's like all of these hints that you're on Earth,
and like what?
So we're 2,000 years in the future. It's like, okay, so he knows he's going to the future. Okay. Walking around like apes and man. Like you didn't go to fucking Alpha Centauri and there's apes and humans there. That's silly. You're obviously not on some brand new weird fucking planet. You're on
Earth.
You're on Earth.
Yeah, it's like the horses.
Yeah, they're riding horses.
And I see, it didn't occur to me, and then like I was like, it's fucking horses.
Yeah.
There's saddles.
Yeah.
There's bits and bridles. Like it's.
They're talking English. I mean, I know a lot of like old sci-fi movies. You meet up with someone, they're like, "Oh, welcome here." It's like, we learned your language. You've been on Earth a long time, or whatever. It's like they try to like brush over for some reason why the aliens are speaking English. Sometimes they just ignore it. But I mean,
in this one, they just barrel headlong into it.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's fucking. They're talking to me. It's like, get your pals off me. It's like, oh god, don't call us monkeys. We still know that's an insult. It's like, okay, dude, you're on Earth. At the end, when he's going through, when they're digging through all that shit, and you've got a human doll that goes mama, and he's like, no, see, there was humans here too, and they were smarter than you. It's like, dude, you're on Earth.
Would apes make a human doll that said mama? And the Dr. Zayas like, we're gonna burn this shit.
We're gonna blow this shit up.
We're gonna straight up destroy this thing. But I mean, I thought that was interesting, like how he still stuck to his guns, and it was only because it's not because, you know, I loved how remarkably unimpressed he was as soon as Charlton Heston started talking. Everyone else was like, they talk. And Zayas is just like, of course they fucking talked, and now you're a problem that I've got to get rid of. Because the first time he's like one-on-one with him. Well,
I think at that point in time, he wasn't surprised because he ran across the other one who probably said like, hey, get me out of here. And he's like, cut that shit out of him. Mm-hmm. Let's lobotomize that man.
Yeah, he tried to do it straight from the beginning of the movie. We're going to geld his ass.
Yeah.
Because he thought there was a mutation in the genome, and they stuck that girl in the pen with him. Like, there was a full, awesome storyline in this movie. And I know I only gave it, 7? Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was just, the movie still is kind of campy in places. But it was a neat social commentary of that time. Mm-hmm. Now, what we got with the 2001 version...
I don't know that it's saying anything, really.
Nothing at all.
I mean, it's slavery? Maybe? I don't fucking... Is it talking about racism?
I think it's just...
It's still kind of segmented, but it's not nearly as much as before. Like, they've got apes and chimpanzees, I think, in the army. Although it's... Or gorillas and chimpanzees in the army. I think it's mostly gorillas.
And it's like, in my opinion, it's not really even a remake.
No, it's more of like it's taken from the same source material.
Yeah, it's like it's a reimagining.
It's like you've got, because this is a book, and you've got the 68 one took from the book and changed the ending. Because apparently the ending of the book is he goes back...
Spoilers.
It was me reading on IMDb. Apparently in the book he goes back to Earth and it's a monkey planet now for some reason. So that's more true to the Tim Burton one.
Interesting.
And they changed it in the movie because Charlton Heston was more like, wouldn't it be more interesting if it was Earth? And they're like, I don't know if we should do that. He's like, yeah, we're doing that. And he's like, okay, well, I guess we're doing that. And I think that is 100% more interesting, that he goes into the future of Earth, and this is what Earth is like in the future. Because humans fucked it up, apes took over.
Yeah.
That's more interesting rather than, we got sucked through a time vortex and our thing had apes on it, so now the apes got smarter somehow, and the humans are just kind of like are around. They can still talk. They still got like a society or whatever. And there's even tribes that live out in the far reaches. And like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they are part of the evolutionary step, and no matter how much you want to deny it, that's what we know at this moment. We might turn something else over in like the next 100 years to find the missing link or whatever, but It was inevitability. It was an inevitability that it was going to happen in the movies. It just they needed time, and then they evolved past us. What I thought was weird is that in the old movie, the apes were just humans. They walked like humans. They talked like humans.
They would do
some of them did
the wide.
Some of them did the stiff arm thing in front of them.
And like the wide stance walk or whatever. So they kind of humans doing a very vague impression of walking like an ape.
Yeah, and then in the Mark Wahlberg version, it was laid straight up like
doing brachiating like through the trees or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she did. There was a little bit of that in this movie, but not in the first movie, but not really, because you would think that like you see how graceful monkeys and apes and chimpanzees are, and then like when they were having the big showdown at the archaeological dig. And then like that dude straight up fell off that platform and was about to roll down the hill, and they were like reached out and grabbed his ass and pulled him in underneath the thing. It was like they are not very graceful. And I think that's what disappointed me about the Tim Burton version. Beautiful makeup.
It's so fucking good.
It's so good. There was none of the seeing the mouth inside of the mouth shit, and that it was. But I think, if I remember correctly,
I'd actually watched a feature out on YouTube on Zoom from the DVD of them just talking about the makeup, and it was fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. But I think his name is Ken Baker, who was the guy that did the makeup in the movie.
Oh, I don't know.
And he is. I might be wrong about that because I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Hopefully, you didn't see that score.
No.
But
luckily, the microphone is blocking it.
But I think his last name is Baker. Rick Baker.
Okay, Rick Baker.
Yes, Rick Baker was the guy who did the makeup in this movie, and that dude is a fucking legend.
It's so fucking good. Like they did casts for everyone's face. They did denture casts.
Yeah.
So they could put in the dentures, and like Paul G. Like you can look at. I don't remember what the ape's name was. Limbo was the one that Paul Giamatti played, and you can see Paul Giamatti in the orangutan makeup.
Yeah, just like the gentleman who played Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
Like
Kerry Taka something or other.
You could see the actor through the makeup. It was fucking nuts. So it's Kerry Tagawa.
Tagawa, okay.
Kerry Hiroyuki Tagawa. David Warner, you could see him straight through the fucking makeup. It was nuts, like how good they looked. And I marveled at the makeup. But the fucking storyline.
It's so what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Like why, for the most part. They show up on a planet, it's like, and they gets dragged to a thing and say, we gotta escape. I'm like, this is not nearly as interesting.
Engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end of the movie I thought was interesting. But it had the Wyatt Earp moment of no, where like they fired the booster that nailed the first wave, and like Michael Clark Duncan was like, we cannot take on someone with a fucking weapon like that. And Thade was just like, I want him dead.
Yeah.
I want his family dead. I want his mother dead. I want his dog dead. DED dead.
I want his whole monkey village burned to the ground.
Yeah. And then like, Monkey Jesus came down in a space pod.
And everyone else was like, oh, there he is. He's returned.
And he backhanded him. Just almost like I was so upset at that part.
I know it's that he was beating up Mark Wahlberg and the ape. I don't remember what the ape's name was. I kept wanting to call him Caesar, but it's not Caesar.
Yeah, there was no Caesar.
No,
nowhere near this.
No,
and see that's what I think was like confusing me. It was like, okay, you had Thade, and then you had Dr. Zaius, who ultimately was the bad guy in this movie, and it was just like, okay. And then when I was watching the two, I thought this was a remake of the movie, but it's just a completely different fucking imagining.
It's like none of the characters were the same because it's not Taylor again, it's not Zira again. There's no Cornelius. Like it's just all new characters just on a new planet, and you can tell this one's like not Earth anymore. Like we went through a time warp and we're on a new planet, but there's apes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so now we're actually on a planet of the apes rather than a future Earth, and it kind of goes through that whole storyline or whatever, and to explain why is there humans, why is there these apes here? It's because the ship got pulled through the wormhole, and these are the remnants of the humans who survived, and these are the remnants of the apes who evolved and survived.
See, I thought this movie was more of a commentary on religion.
Maybe.
Because it was, is there a soul in there? When he opened up his
yeah.
mouth and was like looking in there, it was kind of like, okay, well, since we created religion and you're soulless, godless beings, we're obviously superior. And like I was getting the whole 3/5 rule from this movie. It was kind of like, okay, you're 3/5 of what an ape is, which makes you less, makes you an inferior. When like they're taking kids for fucking pets,
Yeah.
and then like making the humans servants. Like I didn't see a fuck ton of servants walking around, and for like the amount of people he was taking, what were they doing the rest with them? Eating them?
I don't even know. Because it's in the original one, I guess they were doing like Zero was like a zoologist or whatever, like an animal psychologist, trying to figure out how humans worked, and kind of the same, a bit more archaic version of kind of like dissecting animals to see how animals like do. How do dog do? So you kind of take deceased dogs and kind of learn about them. Whereas in this version, it was more of like, well, they're here. Let's just see what they're like while they're alive, and maybe if they die, we'll check out what happens to them after that too.
Yeah.
Kind of a bit more callously, as we probably would have been, probably like in the 40s or 50s or whatever. Like not that long ago when this thing was made, we weren't treating animals super well.
And that's what I also got from this movie too. Is like the first one was a commentary on what I feel is
animal treatment too.
Yeah, well, animal treatment, but it was mainly about racism.
Yeah.
And the things we hold up, the things that we create to make us feel good about racism, like we're doing something right and righteous. This movie to me was more about animal cruelty and religion, because like it seemed like every time you turn around, it was just like humans are dogs. They're pets.
Yeah.
Like don't touch things with your dirty hands because you carry diseases and stuff like that. But then like, oh, but you could help us prep food.
Oh yeah, he could work at the kitchen. Like, okay.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah,
like,
it's very mixed messagey.
I think the movie was made for just more of, look what we can do with the makeup now.
Which is what was really the enjoyable part to me, I think.
I agree with that 100%.
Plus that hot Mark Wahlberg on monkey action.
Yeah, at least Charlton Heston at the end of the first movie, he's like, I'd like to kiss you. And she's like, you're so damn ugly.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, he's just kind of like,
monkey.
we fucking.
I think she was into him that entire time.
Oh, yeah, no. The first time she looked at him, she's just like giving him like the moon eyes. It was like, I don't know what it is. It's something about you're just so funky. Like, I don't know.
I just like your funky bunch.
I like your clueless way of being in this time and space. Where am I? Are these a bunch of monkeys?
What's up with all these apes?
Why is there so much human shit around? But for some reason, I think that I'm not on Earth. It was just, it was good. But
It was okay.
I don't feel like the movie deserved all the hate it got.
No. And I think a sequel could have been interesting, because they were obviously setting up for a sequel. This was planned to be a trilogy, but the first one just did so bad that they did not seek out a sequel that probably would have explained the ending a little bit more.
Well, I think people went into this movie thinking they were getting a remake of this movie.
Yeah, which it was not remotely.
Yeah, it was.
It's another Planet of the Apes. And it's kind of like, here's what they did with their Planet of the Apes, let's try something different, which I guess is kind of like what I enjoy about remakes a bit more. Don't just make the same movie again.
I agree.
Isn't like the Psycho remake with what's his name? Vince Vaughn, just like a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho.
That's what I've heard. I've
not seen it myself.
I've seen parts, and I've seen a lot of side-by-side comparisons. And when it was like a Quentin Tarantino-esque like Hollywood worship movie, where they did it just to show that they could, and they wanted to be true to the source material. But honestly, just watch the source material.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be done.
It was fine, but it's still
it was done better or whatever. So, and I think when you've got like the '68 one that's a classic, don't just make the '68 one again. What's the point? The fun bit of that one was kind of like he's on this weird planet of the apes. Oh fuck, it's Earth. Like, ooh, that's and it makes it a bit more interesting at the end. With the ending is dour. Like he thinks he's gonna go home. Ta-da, you are home, and your humans blew the fuck out of it. So this is the world they left behind when you went exploring. Yeah, it's kind of dour and like, oh shit.
It was a bummer.
Yeah. Well, I've watched two of the sequels, and they also end in bummer. So, like, I wonder if that's just how the series goes.
It is.
It's kind of like, okay, it's going pretty good. Going to a bummer ending. I press the bummer ending button. All right, bummer ending achieved.
It's these movies and in their time were like our warning of
humanity's fucking up.
Yeah, if you keep doing what you're doing, we're gonna fucking run ourselves into the ground. And it's more obvious now than it ever has been in time. And movies have gotten way more preachier and obvious.
No.
And for some reason, we're just gonna keep driving this fucking train off the cliff.
Even so, when people are like, "Man, movies are so political nowadays." Did you watch Planet of the Apes back in '68? It's pretty political, and kind of its messaging. It's just also the difference being it's also a good movie.
Well, it's the juxtaposition that like allows people to basically dissociate themselves from the flick. Monkeys running fucking Earth. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Look how crazy this idea is. You know. But yeah, I loved Roddy McDowall in this movie. He's fucking great.
He was Cornelius?
He was Cornelius.
Okay.
Roddy McDowall, Vincent, fuck, why am I blanking on his name? He was in Fright Night. Peter Vincent, Vampire Hunter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was Peter Vincent in Fright Night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you caught that or not.
No, he's in monkey makeup.
I also didn't know if you caught that Charlton Heston was Thade's father.
Yes, I did know that one.
Okay.
Well, they did the, what was his line? The one he always said, like when he was alive, the pry from my cold dead hands, or something. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, you can have my gun when you pry it from my cold dead hands.
It's not somebody said. He said something kind of iconic during his death scene. I can't remember what it is at this point now.
Well, it's as soon as he talked, I was like, "Oh, it's fucking Charlton Heston."
Oh, here's what he said. Damn you all to hell.
Okay.
So, Mike, I mean, I knew it was Charlton Heston, but that point specifically is like, damn them all to hell. And he dies.
Yeah, the IMDb did not have him listed because he's uncredited. But if I went and looked a little deeper and found out that it was in fact him. And his name, I believe, was a throwback to the old movie.
Wasn't it Zayas?
I think it was Zayas. Because I was kind of like, I was looking for any link whatsoever, and then it found out that he was named Zayas, and I was like, I wonder if they're trying to like insinuate that maybe it's like a further story past the first one.
No, it's just a reference or a callback or whatever. Like the take your paws off me, damn dirty human. It's just a callback.
But yeah, it was. The acting in the original Planet of the Apes was fucking bad. Yeah. Like back in the day,
well, I think a lot of it's acting through monkey makeup.
Yeah, but it's like Charlton Heston in the beginning of it with the whole the guy, his ship, his partner, like putting the little flag up and he's doing the
yeah, that little gif that's kind of picked up as a meme nowadays.
Yeah, it was just that whole thing, and then I thought it was interesting how much smoking you saw back in the day.
Oh yeah,
where he's sitting in a ship. Enclosed ship.
A closed oxygen ship. And you're like, I have time to light it.
Yeah, he's smoking a cigar and he's just, musing to himself as they fly through space. I thought that was just weird. But that's what action heroes were back in the day. And like smoking, that was advertising.
Yeah, smoking, drinking. I got my lady in my pod back there.
Yep. It was nuts watching it. But the best acting, in my opinion, were all the apes.
Yeah.
Like, they were fantastic.
Like, Zira and Cornelius were the fun bits, and kind of them interacting with Taylor a little bit. Nova was just kind of there. It's like, I got my pet human.
I taught you to smile. Whatever.
It's like, I don't want to be alone.
Yeah, it was odd. Like, I remember going to see it in the theater. I actually saw this movie in the theater. And I remember just being like, what is this? And I think people just like taking shit on fucking.
Which one, the 2001 one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was talking about Nova from '68.
Oh, I know you were.
Okay.
I know you were. But I think people just like shitting on Mark Wahlberg movies now.
I mean, he's not a good actor either, but
he's Mark Wahlberg in everything he does.
He is.
With just like a little bit of flair.
It's tuned up or tuned down, I guess, depending on the director.
And he still talks the same way.
I don't talk like that, man. Come on. Say hi to your mother for me.
Give me a break. Like, people hate my movies. What's that about? I was preparing to basically come out and just being like, this movie does not deserve as much hate as it got, which honestly,
Not really.
It's not.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's as a separate story, which is what you should want. Mm-hmm. You should want remakes to be a different story, because otherwise, just go watch the fucking first movie again.
Yeah.
Like Child's Play, they changed it enough.
Yeah. I mean, well, I like that they changed it to something new. I don't like what they did.
Yeah, it looked so bad.
It just didn't. It didn't turn out as well as I would have hoped.
Yeah.
And I don't think people wanted a new Chucky. They wanted Chucky again.
Did you watch Macon?
Macon?
Mithrigan?
Oh, Mithrigan. No,
Yeah.
I've not watched that one.
That was a better Child's Play movie
Than
the remake.
Okay. Which I've wanted to check it out. Which I'll get to at some point in time.
Okay.
Because it looked kind of fun, interesting.
It's Blumhouse. I'll watch anything Blumhouse these days. They've been knocking it out the park lately. But yeah, I mean,
Like this, there's stuff in the original that I like. I like that the science vessel near like some sort of space anomaly. I like that they were sending stuff through it and it was going through some weird time vortex to some other different place. I'm like, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Like the ship at the beginning, it's like, of the original, like we're in a ship going the speed of light around the Earth and we'll land back on Earth in a little bit and see what the future's like. I'm like, I don't, okay, that's weird. But like it being a space accident, I'm like, okay, here we go. I think that's more interesting. I kind of liked the idea of like the time travel.
yeah.
Did you kind of see like how it was working? Where like the ape they sent out arrived last.
Yeah.
When Mark Wahlberg goes, he arrives in the middle. When the ship goes, he ends up first. Which means when Thade went back in time in the future, he goes into space. He ends up in the past. So it's kind of like an inverse. The further you are in their future, the further back in our past you arrive. And the further back, you are in our future, the further back in their past you arrive.
Interesting. I didn't pick that out.
So that's why when he goes back to Earth, it's like, what's up with this General Thade thing? I'm assuming it's a thing they would have gone into a bit more in the sequel, but at some point in time in a planet's future, Thade goes to Earth, and because of the way the time vortex works or whatever, he arrives before Mark Wahlberg does.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to figure out why the fuck, if they trapped him in the fucking capsule and he was like cowering underneath the fucking control panel and everyone was like, fuck that guy. How did he become Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
You know, like I was saying that to myself. I was like,
Yeah, what the fuck?
and he still looked evil up on that.
Oh yeah, he came back and conquered fucking Earth, I guess, or something.
He looked like an evil dick. He probably got out and found the fucking pod in the lake.
Yeah, it's found some other ship, found a way to go back, and probably came with other people because I don't know how you make a planet of the apes without some other apes. Maybe he went back and elevated our apes and turned them into a new civilization. Who knows?
Found Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius pointed at one of the fucking archaeological dig sites. Found a carburetor for the fucking thing. Threw it in there. You're back in the fucking yeah.
So, and I think it could have been interesting, especially like the makeup was so fucking good. I would enjoy watching more of it. Marky Mark he existed in that movie, but luckily they knew enough to like downplay Marky Mark and do other things like, well, throw up Carrie and Helena and Paul and stuff like that, and have them be a bit more interesting.
I loved Paul in that movie.
He's so fucking good.
I didn't like the way the fucking so orangutans are like my favorite apes.
They're awesome.
I fucking love them, but I did not like the way they look because they look like little orange hairy hobos. Like I wanted the big fucking things, and you had the one senator,
the one old one with like the big flaps and like the big.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, but like Limbo, Paul Giamatti, he looked like fucking like an orangutan hobo. Like he looked so bad, and also
I thought he looked good.
No, his makeup looked great.
Yeah.
But like his character looked like he had seen some pretty fucking hard days.
He looked like a slaver.
Well, the other thing I wanted to know is like, why did certain apes have like horrible fucking teeth, like apes would, if they've been picking up on a lot of like human traits and stuff like that? Because like in my opinion,
that's why some humans have horrible teeth.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they don't have ape dentistries.
I've got horrible teeth.
Yeah, mine aren't so great.
I don't know if that showed up on camera, but anyways, I did notice the contrast between the two. It's like the old movie, the apes were more human and the humans were more apes, and then in the new version, the humans were
just down
humans.
Yeah, they're just overruled
Yeah, it's like they didn't develop tools before the fucking apes did, but even then, the apes didn't really have tools.
But yeah, the humans weren't, or the apes weren't as technologically advanced as the other one.
I guess they were just stronger.
They and yeah, and they were more organized, I guess, too, because the humans were just kind of, I guess they crashed in a spaceship, so it's kind of, and they lost the ways of making new shit because you're on some weird planet, you can't make new stuff. You get overthrown by like the lead ape, like Thad's ancestor in the past, kind of like overthrew him or whatever, and just kind of like, yeah, you're nothing. Where the apes are what's cool now.
We're in, you're out.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Yeah, it was odd.
And the city I thought was really dope. I liked it more than the original city. The original and the original, it was just kind of like it's some, I don't know, kind of it reminded me of like a Greek sort of thing where it's got like a little Parthenon sort of area, not sort of like set up or whatever.
And vines going up through the doors.
But then like the new one, you've got like it's all like it's built into the forest, like I would think like an elf city or whatever. Like they've built with nature, and I thought that was interesting. And they're still like swinging on trees and stuff like that. So they still have their kind of like ape quality. So they, when your house is on like the third floor, you can just swing up the tree and get to your third floor. So you can build it more to your physiology. And I'm like, that's interesting.
And one of the things I did notice is when they showed their hands in the original one, it was just a regular kind of human hand.
With maybe like fur hair on the back of the hand or whatever.
But the ape hands in the Mark Wahlberg remake, the thumb was like way the fuck back here, like it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they took that evolutionary step, but they still retained a lot of the things that
they're still apes, but they're just smart and a bit more upright.
And like some of the stuff that kind of threw me was when they were like, fan out, search every house. And the fucking first chimpanzee or the gorilla, when he goes at the door, he like jumps up and hangs from the vine. And the dude opens the door and he's like, you have anybody in there? And they're like, no. And he's like, okay. And he just fucking climbs up. I was like, could you just stood in front of the door until they were like, nah, and then just climb up? I thought it was odd that he was just kind of like monkeying around.
They're just kind of
door.
showing them off, being apes sometimes, I guess. That to the point where it kind of takes you out of the movie a little bit.
Yeah, when the Helena Bonham Carter was doing the swinging around thing in the beginning, you could tell that was like...
But why is she doing this?
Yeah, it was really bad because it was like a jump cuts.
Yeah.
Having her go from point A to point B. But yeah, it's... The movie, the Mark Wahlberg 2001 version was more enjoyable than I remembered.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's there.
Yeah, there's stuff in it to enjoy. And it's not for the story. It's for the makeup. It's for... I don't know. Some of the characters in it I think are interesting. Mm-hmm. I like Limbo. I liked Thade. He was Tim Roth. Mm-hmm. Overacting, but to an enjoyable amount.
Yeah, he was the only one that was acting like truly savage in the movie.
Yeah. I like Michael Clark Duncan.
He's great.
He was really good.
He was really good.
I read on IMDb that he got a call for this movie and he's like, they're going to make me an ape, aren't they?
Of course they are.
Well, of course. He's so friggin' big, and you want your gorilla men just to be giant fucking dudes.
And he was.
And he's a giant fucking dude.
Yeah, when he had the fight with Shang Tsung at the end of the movie, I was like, he's going to fuck him up.
And indeed he did.
And he doing that straight up like ape fucking...
Yeah. The combo. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean... I think the original comes out on top.
Absolutely, it does. I think by both of us a 2-point lead. If you're going to watch only one of them, watch the first one. You could probably skip Beneath, Escape, Conquest, and Battle. I've only seen 2 of them so far, but I've not seen anything in those sequels that draw me to them. If you only have time for one more movie, you could watch the 2001 Planet of the Apes, but I'd say go watch Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That one's much better.
Easily.
I don't remember the whole trilogy being as super cool as like Rise, but they were enjoyable enough that I liked the prequel trilogy for the Planet of the Apes. They were fun. You had Andy Serkis in them, acting very ape-like, and the CG was amazing.
So good.
So I would have to compare like Rise of the Planet of the Apes versus Planet of the Apes. I don't know which one I would like better. That would be maybe a bit more of a closer comparison.
I think Rise is a superior movie.
I remember it being that way, but I don't know.
Well, there were a lot of winks and nods.
Oh yeah.
So they called Caesar Bright Eyes.
Yep.
or I think maybe it was his mom they called Bright
Yeah,
Eyes.
the mom was Bright Eyes.
And then Taylor was also being called Bright Eyes in this movie. So I did catch some like winks. Like they're really good about nodding to the other material.
Yeah, and I think the formula that they used in it was the runtime of Planet of the Apes, like 113 or something like that. I wonder if it's got it on it. 112.
I don't remember that.
I think I remember reading on and that they rise whatever, like whatever formula 112 was kind of like the next thing was kind of hinting at the runtime of the original one. So they kind of call back to it. And I think if you want us to do Rise, let us know. If you want us to do all of them, is it Rise, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Battle?
Right here.
No, those are I'm talking about the prequel ones.
Oh,
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes.
mm-hmm. And those I'd easily watch those again.
Yeah,
like the first one. I'll go ahead and tell you the first one was my favorite out of all of them.
I think mine too.
Yeah, like Caesar in the beginning with John Lithgow, like their relationship and everything. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And it had such a deeper storyline to it too. And then we never got the payoff. You got the hint of the space mission.
Yeah,
Like they were talking about it
at the very end when like shuttle guy was going to shuttle.
But like, I don't think we'll ever. Like, it was the nod to the movies would become.
Yeah,
but it was just
and it's good, and I think that is probably if you only have time for 2 Planet of the Apes movies, go to the original and then go watch the prequel, and you could probably skip the reimagine. I don't even know if we want to call it a remake. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. It's okay. It's not that bad. The makeup is amazing. If that's one thing it's got going for it, is if you go watch Rise, you're going to get CG, and the CG looks good, but the makeup is real. You can see it. It's there. You can see the life behind the eyes. You can.
You can't be practical effect.
No, and it's good. I like all the practical shit in the new one. That's what made it enjoyable. And I don't know, watching Marky Mark movies is just kind of amusing to me. Not because he's good, just because there's something funny about watching him try to be like Marky Mark and like I'm Marky Mark on Ape Planet. Like let's see what am I doing here, man?
I'm Marky Mark talking to trees. We're not going to hang out. We just want to come in and look around. Are you okay with that, Mr. Tree?
Look, I'm not an ape. I'm not going to climb you, okay?
Yeah, he's a leading man. He gets box office receipts, but God knows why. He's
I don't know. I think he's fun to watch.
Yeah,
not because he's good.
He did something. He did some movie I cannot remember off the top of my head. I've been trying to remember it all fucking night. But he was really good in something.
Oh, the Scorsese. What's it beginning with a D?
The Departed?
The Departed. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Maybe.
Because that's the one with like Matt Damon and Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And I think Mark Wahlberg's in it. And it's supposed to be a bunch of... I've not seen that one. And again, like glorifying gangsters, not my cup of tea.
I've seen it one time.
But it's supposed to be like Mark Wahlberg does well. And it's kind of like Nick Cage is fun to watch, but he's Nick Cage in everything. But occasionally you get that movie where he's actually acting in it. And he's not just Nick Cage in a movie.
Right.
And you're like, oh shit, Nick Cage can act when he is not just going over the top kind of.
He's not just in this movie to buy a couch. Got it. Okay. he's actually doing a character. No, I agree with you 100%. It might have been that. For some reason, I'm trying to think of something else, and for some reason, like the fucking Will Ferrell movie keeps coming in my mind, but I've never watched that one all the way through.
Oh, with
the other guys or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen it, but it's the more memorable part of that one is Aim for the Bushes. And that has nothing to do with Marky Mark or Will Ferrell.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to ruin that one. But yeah, as soon as that part's over, the rest of it is just downhill.
Downhill. And given that's the first like 10 minutes of the movie, if even less.
Yeah, but it's still good.
It's Planet of the Apes is good. The 68 one, the 2001, okay.
Are we wrong? Like, tell us.
Yeah.
Like, what in this box should we watch? What in this box, in your opinion, is a better movie than the first one?
Is one of the original 5 better than the first? I doubt it, but I've only seen 3 of them.
I sat down and watched all of them, and I remembered it was like, it's a good movie. Oh my god, this movie sucks. Oh, this is interesting.
Escape from the Planet of the Apes I watched that one today, and it was going interesting for a while. I'm like, okay, this is kind of because I like Zero and I like Cornelius, and that one's kind of focused on them. I'm like, this is kind of fun. And then near the end, it's like, how you ready for the big bummer? I'm like, It had Ricardo Montalban.
It did. As
the circus owner or whatever that was going to try to like secret him away or something like that. I'm like, oh, Look, it's Khan.
Oh God, what was it that we watched? He showed back up at something else. Was it the fucking Mark Wahlberg version, where he's like trying to sell a car? No, it was Mike, one of my coworkers, has been dropping good movies on me, and hopefully he watches the channel and comments so we can like watch some of his stuff that he gives us. But do you watch the show Black Mirror?
No, I've not seen any of it.
So Amber and I started watching a little bit of the first season. We got like to a certain episode, and we were just like, okay, we get it. They're like creepy, fucking crazy, what a twist stories.
Yeah.
But he was really pushing this one episode, and we went and watched it, and the episode is called San Junipero. Apparently it won like an award for the acting in it, and it was really fucking good. And I think I'm going to go back and watch the show again.
Okay.
But like San Junipero, I would definitely. This isn't me challenging you to watch a movie.
Yeah, but just
I think that Ricardo Montalban was in this because there was like an element of time, and I think he was trying to sell a car. And you just said that, and I was like, Khan.
Khan.
All right.
So, you want to play the little?
Yes. I'll look away.
Oh, do you want to play?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go with.
I want to guess.
You want to guess? We'll go with Planet of the Apes from '68. What do you think it's got on IMDb?
7.3.
It's pretty close. It's got an 8.
Nice.
Now we'll go to the 2001, since we're right here on IMDb. What do you think the 2001 version has on IMDb?
3.2.
5.7.
Interesting.
I think that's a fairish score.
That is a fair assessment.
I think 5.7 is an okay score to give that one.
Right there in the middle of the road.
Yeah, a little higher, but
by 0.2 points. Because their scale, I believe, is 1 to 10.
it is. Because they don't go lower than that. Let's see, Rotten Tomatoes.
Tomatoes. Thank you for saying it correctly.
Yeah, of course.
For some reason, I feel like I need to put up my pinky.
Rotten Tomatoes. Once Rotten Tomatoes loads. I don't know why I seem to have issues with it.
I think it's because it got sold off to another company, so now it's just like laggy as hell. I'm not gonna look because I want to guess.
What would the '68 version of Planet of the Apes have on the critics?
8.1.
So 81%.
Yes.
87. What about the audience?
You said it was 8.7 for the critics?
87, yeah.
87? That's right. It's a percentage.
It's a percentage.
I'll say 90.
We're pretty close. 88.
Oh!
87 and 88.
God damn.
They are fans of...
The audience and the critics are pretty simpatico on that one.
And I think 8's pretty good for Planet of the Apes. I think I would agree with that one. So the 2001 version, what do you think the critics give old Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes?
30.
44.
Okay.
What about the audience?
30.
27.
Yeah. Always count on the audience.
Yeah, and I don't think it's 30 bad. 44 is probably a little bit closer, like between 4 and 6. Honestly, I could see being a fair assessment of it, and kind of like the old one being between like a 7 and a 9. I think would be a good assessment for where I think most people should land. Would probably land on which one's more enjoyable.
So I went back and watched the makeup on both of them.
Okay.
Because I really kind of want to know what they did. Like,
Did you watch it on DVD or just like on YouTube?
I watched it on YouTube.
Okay.
Because Rick Baker is a genius, and I thought it was interesting when he was talking about all the people that he wanted in the mask. Like there was real hair.
Oh yeah.
And like everyone in the masks.
Like yak hair, like poked through
Yeah.
each thing. Like they showed people making the masks, and
Yeah.
like Jesus,
And
that's,
you need like tons of fucking masks.
oh yeah.
I thought it was interesting how the way the mouth moved. I wanted to know, like, if I wanted to know how it sat on their face, and you still had like the chimpanzee lips, but like the lips were moving. So
Well, it's because it was glued on the lip,
right,
so
but
they actually had articulation in the new one anyway.
it was gorgeous.
It was really good.
Yeah, in the old one they had Canadian.
Yeah, they had little.
Yeah,
I mean, it was attached to the lip at some point. That was it was prosthetics. They I think it said they took 4 hours to put the original makeup on back in '68.
damn.
So it's applied to the face. It's just not quite like the modern
If you
movie
start
makeup or
sweating,
whatever.
like a cheek comes
Yeah,
out.
it couldn't handle the sweat. Whereas like the new one, like that's not an issue anymore.
It was
like,
a fucking skin suit.
yeah, they had to go through and specifically take. They can't just pull it off because they're pulling skin off. They've
Yeah.
got to go through and do the activating agent to pull it off because it doesn't fall off at the end of the day like the old version would have.
Yeah, I had to basically see how they did it because, like, I wanted to know how they got their teeth so perfect without seeing the teeth behind the mouth. Like, I had to know.
Yeah, because it was a full on denture. They did a bite cast for people so they could give them.
Yeah, straight up like teeth.
Yeah.
It was great. It was super like, but I also remembered that Rick Baker was pissed when they got Jablonski, fucking Blonsky, the guy, I forget his name, fucking Honey Bunny, Thade.
Oh, okay, Tim Roth.
Yes. When they got Tin Roth for the part because they wanted people with like flatter noses
Oh yeah,
to put behind the fucking like,
yeah. You want people with a smaller profile so you can build up on top of it.
and then he's got a big old honker, so they had to put like that crazy like
Yeah.
thicker mask on him. But Rick Baker, rolled back and said, "But he's very ape-like," so it worked.
Yeah.
And he was the only one that acted like that in that movie. So
I liked Tim Roth. He was being hammy, but I think that's what that movie kind of needed to make it interesting.
it was just everybody else is like, "Sir, we want to go and think," and he's doing the.
Well, it's also like, so there's like that one scene when Michael Clark Duncan gives him like the bad news, like the humans came through our camp on our horses, and he like leaps around all angry or whatever. I'm like, I guess it's kind of a bit over the top. But near the end, I like that he like lands and it's like, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the situation. I'm like, that's nice. Where you don't have like a general who's kind of like, hey, you failed me, and bashes him in the head or whatever. He's just kind of like, you're my friend, you failed me.
I think he wanted to because that guy was the commander of the fucking like.
Well, he did it to like his underlings or whatever. I just like the one scene where you're my friend, you did something that pissed me off, I guess. But it's not that you necessarily did. It's that it happened.
Yeah,
that I'm angry.
I'm mad at the situation.
I'm mad at the situation, not mad at you. And I just had my little monkey outlash.
It was just
It's over the top.
it's crazy. But I also did like the part 2 when he was trapped in the fucking pod.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and he was trying to like appeal to the girl and had his hand up and she put the hand up. And when he pulled his hand down, the fucking mark was on her hand. I was like, in your face, bitch. Yeah, I that part was so good. That part was really good.
Yeah, I like the set for the old ship. That was cool. Like it was all full of sand. Like, there's stuff in the new one, 22 years old. That is interesting.
It's worth a watch.
It's good. It's okay. I think it's good enough.
All right, I'm dying.
Yeah,
It's late.
I think we could call Planet of the Apes
Yeah.
complete.
Thanks for all 12 of us that watched
Yeah,
this.
If you want us to do more Planet of the Apes movies, The Rise sequels, any of these ones,
We got them all.
yeah,
Tell them to watch. Tell us to watch something. We'll watch some shit.
yeah,
Like we have to keep challenging each other because we haven't had any challenges. We do need to watch the one that Nettie put out for us.
what's that one?
I'll go back and look, but it was she called out a particular movie for us to watch, so we're gonna fit that one in.
Sure.
And then I've had friends at work who's been watching our videos too that are like, "Why don't you do this?" And I think that's why we ended up doing Dread because Franklin was just like, "Yeah, it'd be really cool if y'all did this one."
Which was a good reason to go back and watch Dread again. I just knew I was not going to like Judge Dredd as much as I like Dread.
I had to drag you then that one, almost kicking and screaming. You're
That's
like,
not-
"Why are we gonna watch it?" So I could say
That's-
the Carl Urban one still fucking rules. I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, which I guess is part. It's why we. I knew which one I was going to like more, but at the same time, I think it was just a fun reason to watch Planet of the Apes, and now she's meowing by me.
She's sharking us.
Yeah.
I guess it's time for kitty intervention.
Planet
of the Kit Kats.
Planet of the Cats.
Hi, kitty. Tell everyone bye.
You want to get the last word in? Meow.
Here, say it right here. You gotta say it right here.
There it is. Oh, that's cat for bye, everybody.
Brown-eyed unicorn.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.